Welcome to South Omaha Speed. Been busy drafting and designing these plates. I had a stack of paper I gave my buddy Nate to draw the stuff up for me, and a couple pieces he had questioned about, so I had to redraw them also to get some clarification on that. But we got them here. This is the second cut off the table. This should finish off the inside of the frame. As far as the tranny mount, seat mounts, rear bulkhead that'll go behind the seats. It'll have the front pivots for the wishbones, pedal mount, if I said that already, steering column mount all in this pile here. Sometimes I'll have a couple different designs that I'll draw up and cut them both and then pick one. A lot of times some things don't fit, so you kind of grind a little bit and try to make them, you try to throw the least amount as you can away if possible and make it work. So anyway, so even though it's drawn, it's not an exact fit all the time because it's hard to do and piece all the stuff together on paper and draw it out and do the best you can transferring from the car to the paper. But if you know, hopefully it's close enough we can use it all. It's Friday afternoon right now after work. I'm hoping to be by Sunday night all these pieces are in and fit, possibly even everything all welded up. Got my wire feed going. I got the 220 plug going for the wire feed Miller 211, I think is what it is. And so with the bigger plug, it was 110, now it's 230 volt. It'll weld up to 3/8 plate, and I've had it fired up a little bit, and she's eating. So it's a feel-good story right there. Gonna go a lot quicker than the TIG machine was going, so that'll help. Won't have to worry about some of that rust either. It'll burn right through it. So I was already starting to fit a couple of these pieces, and I'll show you what I got going on there. These are the pieces to connect the two the frame plates from the front to the rear, and there's holes in those frame plates on each end. I'll show you here. I'll reposition the camera so you can see, but I kind of fit it up in there, and it didn't quite fit that great with the holes weren't kind of lining up. I probably could have made it work. What I decided to do is just go ahead and cut them off, and I did that on here. Just chopped them off, and I'll weld through here, tie into that other plate, and then of course stitch weld it top and bottom. But I went ahead and made a relief cut here and bent that in like that, and I needed to push this out into the frame itself and kind of get way back in there up against the outside frame itself to make room for the seat because it's tight both sides. But I'm just kind of focusing right now on the driver's seat for Trog. I'm trying to get that out so the seat will drop in there. I'm going to cut the frame away a little bit at the top, I think, to make it work, but I think this is going to do it. So I'm going to probably fit this one next, show you how I'm doing that, and then I'll probably modify this one similar. I debated if I was going to connect the frame with the boxing plates. I was like, just leave it and leave that space because I'm going to get a cage in this thing too. But there is a repair on this side that I kind of wanted to double up, I guess, if you want to say, quick and fix a little bit. So I didn't think it hurt any, and so we're going to add them in. Let me get the camera repositioned, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So here's the piece here, and here, of course, here's the holes that I had available to use if I wouldn't have cut those tabs off. But this would go a lot faster, and I won't have to fight. My bolts won't have to be as long either, and be in that fight back there for the wrench because I'm losing space as the stuff gets thicker too. So this will make it a little easier going together when I'm putting bolts in. Just feeling in there to make sure I got room to put that nut back in there without hitting this inside plate. Plenty of room on both ends, so that's about perfect right there. She's ready to tack in. And the other side, because of that repair over there, I probably won't be able to put this big of a kick in there. But the seats I have for this thing are awesome. I haven't had a chance to do a video on there about them yet, about the parts I got from Hondo's Widow, the same Lady K that I got the jacket from. But hopefully we can do when Johnny comes over with the big camera, we'll do a video on that and all the great treasures that I got to purchase from her for the car. A ton of jack parts. And when I mean jacks, the car club jack, so Hondo was original member. So we're putting original member parts on the car, which is just awesome. A little update on the engine too. I found that that purple engine that we got, John Pierce, we knew it had Omaha history in a race car or in a hot rod in a 44 Coupe, and come to find out he was a Jax member too. I talked to another original Jax member. Well, he was from 58 on, so he's a Jax member from the 50s. He wasn't one of the original, but came in 3 years later after they started. But he was friends with John Pierce, and so that motor, wow, totally blew my mind on that as far as that history, that we're putting a Jax motor in the car as well. And come to find out, he actually raced that purple 40 Ford at the 1958 Nationals in Oklahoma, at the NHRA Nationals down there. So it doesn't get much cooler than that for this engine going. I hope it runs. I mean, I spent 2 weeks working on the scatter shield, so yeah, if it doesn't run, we might be putting that 392 Hemi in this thing, but we'll see. Anyway, let me get work on the other side, and I'll get it to fit like this one, and I'll probably tack these things in. All right, I got this one cut. I do most of my cutting outside. I probably mentioned that before. I got a little stand out there in the backyard, and I do most of my cutting out there. Just try to keep it cleaner in here, if possible. I'm gonna have to take this bolt out first, tack this down, take that bolt out, and that's go in there. So, all right, do that next. I just want you to see this inside passenger frame rail here, this bad spot that's in here. Somebody been in there fixing, and on the outside it looks good, but something was happening there at some point. So the X went in back here, the factory X, when I cut it out. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I got this piece cut, this side relief cut, so I can put that V in it. So it doesn't fit as tight as the other side, but that's okay. And then there's relief cut here. I'll just fill that with weld when it's all said and done. Like that side there. So I guess we'll get these tacked in and move forward, start putting that Center Crossmember in. So I went to the weld and getting store. I saw the welding stuff and picked me up some anti-splatter spray and some of that tip jelly. You put your MIG welder wire feed tip in, and when it's hot, it puts night coat on there so stuff won't stick. So I normally like to wait until most of it's together as much as I can as far as structure to keep things from moving and pulling around when you weld. But there's a couple places here that I'm going to put some bolts and plates on for the trans crossmember, and then some rear plates that I'm going to put on as well. So and then cut some tubing for some 45 tubes off this center crossmember is the plan. So I'm going to go ahead and weld up in these half moons up in here. When I designed those plates, these plates in the middle I just put in, I left them a little short in these radiuses right here so I can have a little bit to fill with the weld in there and help make it stronger. So anyway, I'm going to do that next, and then I'm going to weld all four, both fronts and both backs, and then I'll go ahead and bolt the plates in for the tranny crossmember, and we can start checking that out. So. Okay, so it's late Friday night, it's 10:30ish, maybe 10:15, and I ran the welder out of wire, so I'll have to pick some up in the morning. But it's not just kind of fitting the steering column bracket here. Like that, and then instead of just putting a plate on top of here, like welding this to it to hold it, I actually have this plate here. It fits in there, and I'll drill. This hole's already here; it's a factory hole, and then I'll drill this hole out here, and then I can weld this actually this way to this plate, and so it'll have two bolts, and I have weld all the way along here, and then I actually have a little piece I made like this here, that almost like a safety hoop. In case something were to fail, but it looks kind of cool, and I don't have to run it, but I made it. So anyway, that's the steering bracket. So tomorrow, if I get the wire, I'll put in the transmission crossmember. I got one more weld I got to do before I can put it in, bolt it up there. My plan is once I bolt that transmission crossmember in and I start building the seat mounts and everything, I won't take it back out. It'll just stay in there, and I'll keep building as I go. So I kind of need to weld where I'm putting the pieces in. So anyway, more to come tomorrow after we get our wire, and we'll start building the center section.